誰だ誰だとうるせえ野郎だな。てめえこそ誰なんだ。
何？俺は
教えてやろうか。てめえはな。
Hey, whoa. Calm down. It was just a dream. Just a dream. Or was it? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the On Show with special guests Hibretto and our mystery visitor from Japan. Joining us today, our special guest Hibretto. Hibretto, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name's Hibretto from Sydney. I've been playing this game for way too long. That's it.
That's good. Okay.
Oh, what else can I say? I live in Sydney. I lived here for like almost 18 years of my life. I played KOF for almost, I don't know, for about the last 11 years of my life, I guess, more or less, on and off.
So you're 12.
Yeah, I'm pretty young, yeah. Despite my deep voice, I'm pretty young.
Good, but yeah, your voice wasn't deep because you got older. No.
I was just born with a deep voice.
No, it was deepened. It was deepened by something else, wasn't it?
Oh, you wish.
Well, we can make it deeper later, don't you worry. Anyway, back to KOF. So, you've been playing for quite a long time now. So, how is KOF at the moment?
Okay, in regards to our current scene in Sydney or Australia, it's practically non-existent. I mean, there's a few people here and there that still like to play it and are really keen to play it over, like, say, Street Fighter or Tekken, but they are really, really far. What's the term for it? Far and wide or far and few? It basically is like a needle in a haystack. You can't find it.
Whoa, I'm going to have to stop you there. It sounds like somebody's at the door. I wonder if it's our special guest from Japan.
I know you're there. Don't be hiding from me.
Let's get into the interview. Take a seat. We're going to call you... But let's go by your initials. PM.
It's been a while, Gunman.
Indeed. But why don't you tell us how was the scene for you in Tokyo?
Now, we're talking about the King of Fighters scene, right? Well, it's unfortunately quite dead compared to the Street Fighter or Blade Blue scene. It has its hardcore players, but they're shunning away from the latest installment, King of Fighters 13, which isn't really helping out the scene. The other issue is that the game's publisher, SNK Playmore, hasn't made efforts to capture the attention of new audiences. I'll get to that a bit more later in this interview.
And compared to the 90s...
Now, that's an unfair comparison, even despite the current return of the fighting game trend. Back in the 1990s, fighting games were a really, really huge, remarkable phenomenon. Arcades started to appear all over the place in Japan. It was a golden age, a utopia. But it was also a complete inflation, kind of like a bubble economy of arcades. It was bound to pop sooner or later, and it did somewhere before the year 2000.
We had a lot more players in the 90s. Well, see, KO is very, very, very popular in Asia, and most of the people that played it here back in the day were overseas students. And unfortunately, the KOF hasn't really kept, interest over the past decade. So the younger people, they, more playing like Dota or, whatever else is available nowadays in net cafes. So KOF is more or less just for like the older people, the older crowd, the younger kids. They're playing newer games. It doesn't really appeal to them. And as these older students graduated and left the country, they kind of left a void that no one could really have filled. as a result, arcades might have new cabinets with new KOFs, but no one's interested because all the people that were interested are no longer in the country for one reason or another, deported.
Deportation sucks.
So yeah.
So you were saying that, I remember you saying something about deportation. Now, what exactly was going on there?
In Australia,
is just, playing KOF a crime?
No. It's not a crime to play any games here. Unless it's sickening games, but we don't have those kind of stuff. Anyway, it's to do with Australia with its visas, because these students are here on a student visa, right? So they graduated, so technically they can't stay anymore because they're only on a student visa. Their visa is validated for the time of their study. So once they've finished studying, they need to find a job to try and change that student visa into a working visa. So if they can't find a working visa, they have to go back. They have no choice. This is off topic. One of my friends, I don't think he's a friend anymore, but he was from a student visa and he couldn't stay. So he tried to, go through the tribunals and try to stay, and we lent him money for bond, and basically he got kicked out of the country. We never got our money back. So I'm a bit sad about that. So yeah, that's how the situation is in Australia. It's really hard to stay here. And a lot of people come, with the hopes as a student to get some form of permanent residency through either working or taking some tests. I had a friend they took like immigration tests a few weeks ago. They cost like $400. And it's like an English test. Fuck me dead. I'm lucky I didn't ever have to do that. I just came here. My father became a citizen. I just became a citizen by default.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it is similar. But why do you think they want to stay? I know it's off topic, but it's interesting.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, see, I think Sydney is, I can only say with Sydney because I don't know how it is in other states, but people just tend to enjoy maybe the standard of living. Well, standard of living is definitely a lot higher than in Asia, unless you live in Japan. But there's a difference there because housing is expensive. Well, it's not expensive. It's no one wants to take a home loan, and it's also small. Whereas we have large land. It's just no one really wants to live in some of the land because in the middle of Australia, no one can live there. But I think they just enjoy the climate and they just enjoy the lifestyle, or maybe they got used to the lifestyle. And for say people in China, they want to stay here so they can bring their family over as well. So I can understand how they feel, and I can also understand how sad it is to see them leave. I've seen a lot of people I know that played games leave, and that's unfortunately that's part of life. Fat Cat Lim, for example, he I don't know why he had to leave, but he had to leave, and that was pretty sad. He was like one of my KOF buddies, and once he left, that was pretty much game over for me as well for KOF.
Yeah. Two things. I thought you just said no one wants to take homo.
No, I did not say that.
I think you actually said no one wants to take a home loan.
Oh, home loan, yes. Sorry,
yeah.
Yes.
It's
home loan.
Bit confusing. But anyway, second
but
thing.
In Japan, they're with the Bishonens and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Homos are okay. It's fine.
No, nothing wrong. Nothing.
Absolutely.
It's not my cup of tea.
We'll see about that.
I'm not gonna hate
people are crazy.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you won't have a choice. But anyway. Yeah. What were we saying? Right. And yeah. So would you say then, really, KOF is a kind of then it's an Oriental thing rather than an Australian thing?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we actually have a player here. He's Italian, and he's actually a really good KOF player. He's since moved on to playing a Street Fighter. But I mean, back before, like in 2002 and 2000 and 2001, he was one of the top players in Sydney. And I think as well I think he was top in 11 as well. So he's actually a really good player, and it's really rare to see a non-Asian to be good at KOF. I mean, it's that's just how it is in Sydney. Most of the people that play KOF are fobs. Not fresh off the boat, but they are foreign students. Most of them, the majority of them, and it is really rare. I mean, back when I first saw Rob, I was like, oh shit, it's a white guy playing KOF. I wonder if he's good. And yeah, he was, and he still is good. But yeah, he's dropped it because no one else plays. which is really sad because he does enjoy he enjoys the game, but he's found a new love in Street Fighter.
That's a shame. It kind of reminds me also of the time, like if you ever go to Japan, well, maybe not you, but other people, you often get that. Oh my God, it's a gaijin, not necessarily a white person.
Yeah.
And but they don't really say, oh, he's great at KOF. They just say, oh, yeah, he can play.
See,
he can press buttons. It's good.
I'm sure it only happens to Gunsmith.
See, this is what I found interesting in London, because you have Ryan Hart, who's black, and he's good at a lot of games. Like, I kind of lost what I was about to say. Going back to it, when I was in China about 2 years ago, there was actually a black guy that played Tekken, and I think he was like decent enough, but it's really rare to see like a foreigner playing games overseas, and it's just kind of amazing, really. But you've heard of American? He's a Sagat player in Japan for SF4. He's black, he's from America, and yeah, he's quite good. And we got like Kim1234 as well. He plays Dictator. And I'm just going off topic now and just like ruining a show.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll just delete all of this anyway. It's fine.
It's all good. But yeah, in Sydney overall, it's mostly Asians that do play KOF. Dark Chaotix, however, is not Asian, nor is Vice Vector.
No, you ruined the dream.
Who lives in China and plays KOF. That's yeah. I met him a few years ago. He's a really nice guy. So yeah, and hopefully I'll see Dark Chaotix at OHN, the Australian Nationals. There won't be an official KOF tournament, but they will try and run a DIY for O2 UM. So hope to see him catch up. There's also another player. His name is Remzi. He does some combo videos on YouTube. I think his account is this Remzi, like youtube.com/REMXI. And yeah, he also plays. He lives about 2 hours away from me, though. He lives in a place called Wollongong. It's really, really far. But yeah, he really likes KOF, and we play every so often on GGPO. And I think a lot of the KOF players nowadays are just playing online. And older games, whatever GGPO has to offer, or Arc Live. So it'll be like mostly in 2002. And there's actually I would say about online players that I know of, roughly maybe about 40 to 50.
Okay.
But they won't really go out to actually play. In Melbourne, there's actually an arcade, if you want to call it an arcade, that actually has about maybe 2 or 3 KOF 98 cabinets. But I hardly see anyone. I don't actually live there, but when I go in every so often when I'm in Melbourne, I don't really see anyone playing. I don't see like a big crowd, compared to say in China.
And does Australia have 13?
In Sydney, we have 1 cabinet, which doesn't get a lot of love. The aspect ratio looks like shit. The cabinet looks like shit. It just actually, I don't even like the arcade. The arcade I think looks like shit, so I don't even want to go in there unless I really have to.
Well, you really aren't doing justice to 13 unless you have an LCD cabinet.
PM, how many regulars do you see at the arcade?
Many. Arcades are basically sustained by repeaters. Well, that and of course, prize games.
How many times do you visit the arcade?
Not too often. The arcades nowadays are extremely smoky compared to the 90s when it was crowded with kids and students. I personally still go to the arcades about once a week or so, but only to those with no smoking or good ventilation.
Why do you think things have changed?
It was a trend. Back in the 70s, Space Invader games were the big thing. In the 80s, it was the NES and home consoles. And so in the 90s, it was arcades and fighting games. Actually, the mid-90s was the golden era of video games in general, so maybe better to see fighting games and arcades as a part of the overall phenomenon.
What makes a strong player?
Performance-enhancing drugs. No, just kidding. Practicing, thinking, and talent. Practicing is vital for fighting games, and top players pretty much dedicate their lives towards their games. Fighting games don't take as much thinking compared to other games of other genres, but if you're still brainless, you won't get too far. Talent is, of course, just as important. Otherwise, all dedicated fans would actually be as good as the top players.
Why do people still go?
Well, there's different reasons for different people. In the case of casual players, they go out to have fun with their friends or because their favorite game isn't out on consoles yet. With hardcore players, they go to meet other players like themselves and to have top-notch competition. And let's not forget about salesmen that go to the arcades to kill time between visits to their clients. So yes, it's not rare to see men in suits during daytime in the arcades at the commercial districts. One thing to note, some people say that consoles have lag so the arcades are better, but it's not as much a concern for Japanese players because network infrastructure in the country is quite good.
What makes people play 13?
Special clothes ripping kills! Half joking, of course. I'll explain that in a second. Well, KOF 13 is the latest release in the KOF franchise, and I think that's a good enough reason for people to play the title. If SNK Playmore makes any future KOF games, it would be based on 12 or 13 engine rather than the old engine that's been used since 96 era. Not moving on would be like still playing Third Strike even after Street Fighter 4 has been long out. There's nothing wrong about that, especially with many people considering it more of a complete game. But you will be left behind. If you're asking anyone who's playing 13, their response will probably be simply because it's fun, and it is, really. Now, going back to the half-joking bit, I don't think it's well known, but the biggest attention that 13 received from the Japanese sites and blogs was when the special clothes-ripping kills were revealed. Hell, even Kotaku Japan covered it. Pretty nutty, huh?
Ah, the special codes, right, gotcha, like for Takuma and stuff. Okay. Do you think this will change when the console version is released?
And KOF 13 would probably be gone from most arcades by the time that a console release is made. Most Bulicks cabinets are already being updated with the Nesca Live system, and 13 isn't in the library at the current time. So unless SNK Playmore releases 13 or an updated version of 13, or say a sequel on the Nesca Live, people won't have an option except to play on their own home consoles.
What is your favorite thing about 13?
The high-quality pixel art. The character sprites are great, and the level of details in the backgrounds are fantastic. There's a lot of details that most people probably haven't noticed. For example, King wears an earring on some of the alternate colors, and it also changes whether she has a glove or not. The spectators in the background, like the sumo wrestlers in Japan's stage, also change a bit between the rounds as well. On a side note, I really like the stages in KOF 13. They have an atmosphere like it's actually a worldwide tournament, kind of like back in KOF 97.
What is your least favorite thing?
Well, the developers must have been quite short-handed because a number of odd issues, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as calling them bugs, are still in the game. Game balance is probably more of a criticality, and it really should have been fixed. I'm pretty sure it was one of the reasons behind the game's short lifespan at the arcades, and it's definitely going to be a deja vu if it isn't fixed for the home consoles. When looking at KOF 13, it seems like the developers tried to fusion both the old-style footsies gameplay and modern-style combo-based gameplay into one product. Theoretically, they should have brought both old and new gamers into the game, but it seems to have resulted in just the opposite effect, with both sides not really liking the way how it plays. Personally, I have no issues with this new system. Kind of like it.
Let's switch this back to Hebredo. Did you play 13?
No, I haven't, because I don't know how it is in the UK, but this arcade operates with a card system, so you have to swipe for credit. So you have to go to the counter, purchase yourself a fucking card, load it up with money, and then swipe it so you can play the game. Whereas, back in the day, we can just get a dollar coin, pump it in, and then we're good to go. I'm a really simple kind of person, so I don't like to go and fill up a card and swipe it, and then I fill up the card with $5, and the game only costs like $2. I have $3 left. I don't want to do anything with that card anymore. So I kind of see it as a waste. But that's
Yeah, no, that's a business plan as far as I could see.
Yeah, it works because you give them $5 or $10 or however you load it up. That's their money already. For them, it wouldn't really matter, and they don't have to even go and like take the dollar coins or anything out of the machines. Because that is very efficient, but for me, I don't like the card system. That's so yeah. It's even worse in China for some arcades. They go by tokens. And so you have to like purchase. I purchased like 100 tokens about 6 months ago when I went back. I didn't have anything to carry them in. I just put them in my fucking pockets. Walking the streets and these people say, "Oh yeah, this dude's got money. Time to beg." Please, sir.
Oh God.
Have some more.
He looks like one of us, but he's a tourist. It's even better. Let's beg. He won't know any of the tricks. Yeah. Okay, but so would you say the arcade scene in Australia is
okay, in Sydney, I cannot say. I can't really say for Australia or overall because I know Melbourne has about maybe say you can say they got 3 arcades. You've ever heard of Crown Casino? It's like Australia's best casino. There's an arcade in there.
Okay.
They have cabinets. There's also 2 arcades in like the main CBD of Melbourne, and they're actually right around the corner from each other. One of them's called the Blue House. That's usually for SF, and the other one is called White House. Sorry, but I just call them Street Fighter House and KOF House. Just to make it simple. So
White House and Blue House.
yeah.
Okay. So if there was a Red House, what games would be in that one?
I don't know. Maybe DDR.
Okay.
But DDR, yeah. But there's DDR. There's like music games in the KOF house. But but I think the dedicated arcade is actually about a 20-minute train ride away from the city. That's where most of our players go. But our players are also Street Fighter players. So I think that this arcade scene is a lot better in Melbourne than it is in Sydney, just overall. But I think we do have more cabinets here for Street Fighter. Because over the years I've developed, more a liking towards Street Fighter just because it was there,
Okay.
it's available, and we technically have 2 arcades in the main city. The one, one of them has 13, and the other one has 12.
Wow, you still got 12?
I think we still have 12. Maybe I haven't been to that arcade for a long time. It's one of those arcades in the cinema. So just hopefully some people that are dating,
okay.
they just happen to go in there. So
and then they tell their date, "Can you just wait here for a second?"
Yeah, 1 second. See, girlfriend guys, I'm not sure you ever had. I'm sure you would have seen some of those in the arcades in London.
Yeah.
I love girlfriend guys, man. There's 2 types of girlfriend guys, right? They're the cocky motherfuckers, and they're the ones that like just trying to have some fun. I like the ones that have some fun because they're humble. Cocky motherfuckers, on the other hand, fuck, I hate them so much.
Give us an example of what happens.
Nothing brings more pleasure to my fucking daily life to have challenged one of those cocky ones, beat them, and then see them walk away, head held down in shame. If only I could win their girlfriend if I had one. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work that way. But yeah, I think that's mostly the Asian ones. It's mostly like the Asian dudes that like forces their girlfriends to go to the arcades and watch them.
Yeah, I remember that, and it is kind of I think that's definitely something we can talk about at some point. Kind of cultural aspect of KOF, but I do remember being in a lot of arcades, and I do remember a lot of it was Chinese guys coming with their girlfriends and making a lot of noise while they were challenging. And yes, it was quite risky for them because if they got beat in front of their girlfriend and probably a couple of their friends as well, it's like, okay, your face is gone outside. You're going to get your hand chopped off, and your girlfriend's going to leave you.
I'm not going to put up for you tonight because you lost, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Time for me to find a better player. Actually, speaking about girlfriends, in arcades, Darko.
Who?
As in Darko.
Dark Hole. I know Dark Holes. Yes.
No, you fucking knob. As in the
That's
top
what it does.
player in China. Yeah. Yeah, stick it in my dark hole. No,
not now.
The Big Mouth in the top one of the top players in China. He plays at the arcade I go to sometimes.
Okay.
If I'm in China, and his girlfriend actually plays as well.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so like at least she's not bored. She can watch people play, and she's somewhat interested in the game.
That's cool.
And she challenges as well. When she could be bothered to take a token.
Well, okay.
So it's quite fun that you can get your girlfriend into it if she wants to. Otherwise, she's just there and she's fucking bored as shit, and she'll most likely leave you one day because of all the times that you took her to the arcade to do nothing.
Absolutely, and I kind of had the same situation. In fact, I was in France with my girlfriend, and I was checking out the arcades. Obviously, they had 13, so I was like, "We have to go."
Oh shit!
And I was like, "Right." So went down. I said, "Yeah, I'll just be a while." It's past the point where I have to say I'm going to be 5 minutes because she knows it's not going to be 5 minutes, and then I can't really just lie like that. So I'll be like, "Okay, so just chill, and I'm going to check out this game."
See, the best thing is if the arcade is right next to some store for women. I'm gonna sound
Yeah,
so
that's-
misogynistic right now, but it would be really nice if it was right next to a shoe store or some kind of a clothing store. So then you can just let her do what the fuck she wants to do, and you can just go down and do what you fucking have to do,
Yeah,
and then you just meet together about half hour later. Most likely she's still doing her shopping,
that's even
and then
better,
you
isn't
say,
it? I'll just go
"Allow
back.
me to carry your bags," and then she,
Or,
oh
yeah.
my god.
Oh, is that, how about, you know what? I really like the look at those shoes over there. Why don't you go have another look at those and have a good think about it? And I'll just stand over there, maybe next to the arcade machine, and I'll just look at it. I won't play it. I'll just look at it. But anyway, let me finish the story. So she went down there with me, and there's, room full of guys, all playing KOF and the Street Fighter or whatever. It was quite packed, actually.
Stuff like.
And yeah, it's really dark. And funnily enough, right, there's this girl sitting on the sofa, looking really dead bored. And I'm thinking, there's KOF 13, so I go over to play 13. And when I'm done, I come back, and the two girls are talking to each other. And guess what she was there for?
Same reason?
Same reason. So they were like bonding. I was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah, see, no, it's fine if there's another girl around, but if not, it's kind of, I feel bad
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just me though.
About 2 seconds, I know, yeah. But there you go. Yeah, no, it can work out. You just need to kind of hope that other girls are there.
Yeah, you need a planet, actually, you just need the stars to align.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay, but speaking of 13, I mean, so you didn't play it, but do you think you're gonna play it?
Except, on console, I will most likely purchase the game on console once they decide to release it, whenever that might be. But I don't know when that will be. I mean, how long has 13 come out for already? I mean, Togeki last year was around maybe May last year or August. That's around the days that Togeki is like happening. So let's just say August last year, right? So yeah. August, and now it is April.
Yeah,
so it's about 8 months.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Not playing KOF 13.
Being like sadomasochistic and hurting yourself waiting for this game to come out, but yeah. But yes, you got.
I mean, if they were to release it, I would definitely purchase it, just because of loyalty, I suppose. Because I have, I have 98 on my Xbox. I also have 02 on my Xbox. And so if it's out, I will definitely play it. Just hope, with the hope that just maybe, there will be good netcode. I'm not holding my breath, but just in case.
No, I'm not holding my breath either. But if you want to hold your breath, I can help you with that. I've got a belt.
Okay. Oh, that's all right. I got masking tape. It does a lot better than belt.
Okay, I've got some cords and some plastic gloves.
Well. I got a sewing kit even.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll save that for later. Yeah. So which KOF? So you said you were playing GGPO. Now, is that the reason? Is netcode the reason why you're not playing 98 or 2K2
Yes.
Okay.
Netcode is really bad for both the aforementioned games. I tried it, and I just can't work around it. I don't even play Street Fighter 4 on Xbox Live, because that's one of the better fighting games with its netcode, and I don't even play that online. Like, for me, it has to be near perfect, which I believe GGPO and its various competitors have achieved. unfortunately, it's not really available for any really any games right now, other than Final Fight.
Mm.
But I still don't know why. That's
Okay.
all Capcom ever did.
Yeah. So, sorry, my phone just rang and it's completely thrown me off. Yes. So you're playing. You can't play. Yeah, you're not playing that because of the netcode. And you mentioned Arxis. Now, tell us a bit about Arxis. No, not Arxis. It's Arcsoft, isn't it? What's that other GGPO kind of similar thing?
Yeah, Arc Live, you mean?
Arc Live, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we should ask Pen or Sonic Tempest to come on and explain their experience. I haven't personally used it, but it's apparently it's got the emulator built into the actual program itself, so you don't have to load up a whole new one. So yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. But I have GGPO working for me and it ain't broken, so why fix it? That's how I see it. I also try like Chimera, like the most up-to-date Chimera client, but GGPO is the only one that I really just can find people to really play with.
Yeah, not that I condone any kind of piracy whatsoever, but I can get.
I have the games.
Exactly.
I have the games.
I was just about to say. Oh, calm down. Yeah, okay. I was just about to say we can get away with this kind of thing because we actually have games.
Yeah. And we purchased like the AES cards and the MVS cards and all that. Yeah, so
that's fine.
It's all good, yeah.
So the only problem, of course, now with GGPO is that it's I mean, which game are you particularly playing on GGPO?
I actually played A2 and ST more than anything else right now.
A2? Which one? Oh, A2.
Alpha 2, yeah.
Alpha 2, right.
Every so often I feel like playing KOF, but it's not that often. Yeah, just every so often I just want to play A2. I don't know why. I play on the keyboard. It's actually really bad to play A2 on the keyboard because you can't custom combo properly. Because I press all three buttons, and the keyboard doesn't register like three inputs at the same time, so you have to use a macro. You
sad man.
Yeah. But I mean, because it's KOF 98 has 3 rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I go in there, there's no one there sometimes. So I need to go into like other rooms because we have for us in our community Ozado. We have an IRC channel on EFNet, so sometimes I'm in there and I just say anyone for a game. People do this on the SNK Playmore channel as well, which I'm not sure if people know about. But on EFNet, there's also a channel called SNK Playmore, where it's people that like to play KOF games, and you can go in there and say anyone for KOF on GGPO, blah blah blah, and then someone say yes, and then you go in room 1, room 2, room 3. So it's easy because you don't have to sit in the lobby hoping for someone to get in there. And that's why I hate going into a lobby, finding no one, and then leaving because that's a waste of my RAM. I only have 1 gig. I need to conserve that RAM.
Okay. Yes, you need to hold that RAM back until it's ready.
Yes. But to answer your question, if I had a choice between 98 and 2002, I would probably choose 98.
It's funny that you mentioned that because for me, I mean, I was playing GGPO and it's quite sad because I was actually getting quite good. But
finally.
Yeah, finally. And actually that's my point. Without the proper practice and playing against a human opponent, you are going to be crap and you're going to stay crap. You need to play people. And the thing is with GGPO and 98 is that I'm bored of 98. Really? I just can't play that game anymore. I played it so much. And I mean, even getting good, like 10 years later after the game came out, I sit there and I look at the game and I'm like, okay, Chris, Goro, all over again. I'm like, no, I'm kind of done with this. I don't feel it. Even we had a quick tournament in 98 when we had the 94 times 2002 tournament.
Yes.
And even when I beat the crap out of Michelle's, I just thought,
who's that? Is that a girl?
Might as well be. He's gonna love hearing that. He's my bitch, and
okay.
And when I beat him up, I was just like, but it just feels hollow because I know the game so well, and obviously Michelle's doesn't. So I just thought, who cares? It doesn't. I don't feel that now. These days, I'm playing 2002 and it is in a way an old game, but at the same time, it's a new game.
It's also it's been revitalized.
Yeah, and it's good.
Balances. No, I understand where you're coming from, but see, for me, I only like to play games where there's people I can play with. I'm not going to play a game against the CPU in training mode, which unfortunately right now for me personally in Sydney, O2 is like that because we can't play online. Well, we can, but why? We might as well not even bother because there's lag, and I personally can't play with lag. I mean, I've tried playing it with Remzi, but we both said, "Yep, fuck this. It's not even worth our time."
Absolutely, it's not.
We're better off fucking playing Ikaruga.
Wow, that's pretty good. Anyway, yeah.
Hey, Ikaruga's really good. Anyway,
yeah, it is. I don't see how that as you can't really say that as a bad thing to do. That's a brilliant game. But anyway, before we go off topic, but yeah, no, we can't. And that's kind of the problem with the community. If you don't have anyone to play, then that's it.
And you're only as good as the people you play with. So you play with no one.
Yeah.
You're practically shit.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't mind playing O2. Like, every so often, I'll alternate between 98 and O2, just depending on how I feel. But I would prefer to play 98. And yeah, I was getting better when I was playing 98 constantly, because this is one guy that always asked to play. And he is really, 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 like, I cannot believe, he's probably one of the best players out of the 40 that I mentioned that are like Chinese, that play online. I don't know if he still plays nowadays, but he would just troll me and he would still win. Like, just his ability to read what I can do, or like what I might do 2 moves in advance, is just so good. And like, he used to always ask me to play, and because of playing him, like, you play a better player, even though you were shit, you will slowly get better. And always get at a faster rate. And I was getting better, but then I don't know what happened. Maybe I think SF4 happened, and as a result, it stopped playing. If you know Darius or Derek, he lives in Australia as well. He's in Perth. I used to play with him on GGPO as well in KOF, and then he's also migrated to playing Street Fighter 4 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 now. So I don't even know if he'll still play KOF if given the opportunity to. Maybe just for shits and giggles, but probably not seriously.
What do you think makes people play KOF in the first place?
Well, for me, back in the day, it appealed more to me than Street Fighter, because graphics wise, it looked nice. A2 looked a lot better from A1, and that's why I just enjoy to play it. And also, like, people around me at the time when I was younger, they were into KOF, and I just, based on peer pressure perhaps, or influence, there weren't really that many people playing Street Fighter that I knew when I was younger. So most of the people I hung around with people that played KOF. So I think just out of this sphere of influence that I'd prefer to play KOF more. In Asia, I can tell you Street Fighter's not that popular. So they probably played KOF because it was there. This is strictly for like a Chinese point of view for people in China, because I go to from the various arcades I go to, I see more KOF cabinets than Street Fighter cabinets. Out of all the I've been to like maybe 3 or 4 arcades in China. I've never seen one Third Strike cabinet.
Okay.
Or a Second Impact cabinet, or new generation cabinet. I see some SF4 cabinets now. That's very common in the arcades. But the most common one I saw that was in China for SF was Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition.
Okay.
That was the most. No Hyper Fighting Champion Edition. So I don't know why. They didn't have Rainbow, which was really surprising. But I think for people in China, it's because it was there and there was more available. So that's why people in China picked it up, and maybe because of piracy. I'm not going to condone it, but maybe that's also another factor into it. But I think also enjoy the character designs of KOF, a bit more than Street Fighter back in the day. And like my favorite character, Clark, to this day, I still like his character design, even though he looks practically the same as Ralph. I just like a dude with a hat and sunglasses. Something about that shit just makes me all wet inside.
In other words, you've got a fetish for Arnold Schwarzenegger, haven't you?
Hey, I love Arnold.
Well, there you go.
That
then
guy's a fucking legend.
You see now, if you like Sylvester Stallone, you like Ralph, and that's it.
Yeah, Sly is not that much of a good guy. Yeah, he doesn't really do it. I've never seen Rambo, or I've never really seen Rocky either. I'd say. But I think another thing is, see, for me, certain things in games just gives me so much pleasure when I do them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, for instance, in CVS2, you've ever played that game properly?
Yeah, of course.
Paint Defense with Dictator.
Okay. Yeah.
In A Groove, like I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing that.
It's the up and down motion, isn't it? Yeah,
I'm sure the person that is eating the Paint Defense isn't actually enjoying it, but I love it whenever I land it. So and whenever I land the SAB followed into the flashing elbow, I just get this big, I don't know, this big ball of enjoyment just going into my heart. And I get like blood pumping all through me. I don't know why. I can tell you this story. I spent about a whole day, like one whole day, dedicated to just working out how to do the flashing elbow properly when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
Learning the game. And I remembered every single character because you can do both ways. You can do like quarter circle forward and quarter circle back.
Mm.
And I learned every single character in which way to do it properly. Because, with Choi, I think it was in 98. If you do quarter circle forward, if you want to play one side and you do SAB and you do quarter circle forward, so you're doing quarter circle forward on your side, so you're not reversing it, so you're not chasing them.
Right.
You can't do that against Choi in 98, I think. So yeah, I don't know if that really explained it properly, but let's just say I spent a lot of time doing SAB into flashing elbow.
Yeah.
So whenever I do it now, I get so much enjoyment out of it. And that's why I love using Clark. Though I don't use him anymore. I dropped him because I get more enjoyment sometimes out of just doing Yori's 1, 2, 3, his records. So yeah, that's why I play some games because this game has this one move or this one strategy which I always love doing. And whenever I hit I land it in succession, I don't know. I get a smile. That's why I still play. See, in 2002, I don't really get anything like that. I think the closest would probably be with Billy when I do in the corner, forward A into crouching C as a combo.
Okay.
Yeah, I get, I like doing that combo, but no one likes Billy in 2002 because apparently he's cheap.
Yeah.
Maybe he's OP.
It's 4-day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I like Athena's teleport. Yeah, sorry.
Who's teleport?
Athena.
Oh, okay. Right.
I like her teleports. That's why I like using her too.
I don't get a bit of a buzz out of doing Shermie, but
yeah.
At the same time, after a couple of years doing the same thing, we're looking. It
starts to sag and wrinkle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's the whole is. There's a ball of something. It's not as tight anymore. Absolutely.
A bit loose, after a few years. You need a bit of WD-40 around the areas too, just to soft the edges.
Yeah, if I could, yeah. But there you go. You're looking for something new. So I've been trying out this Kasumi girl and the Hinako, and they're young and fresh, and it's okay. Not quite as.
Yeah, I can do the Hinako. I'm not really Kasumi though. Something about her just it doesn't really do it for me. I think it's not enough skin. Yeah, that's why Hinako. You can see those little short shorts and shit.
Yeah, they're kind of cute.
Yeah. Perfect for 40-year-old Japanese dudes, right?
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. It's you're not hurting anyone, so at least not yet. But
yeah.
Until that day, it's perfectly fine. So, Yeah, so as you say, like players are looking for something. I think you and quite a few other players are looking for something new to kind of give you the same kind of buzz as you used to get when you were a kid. But obviously, even using Clark now, we see the same move on a new game like 13. It's there, it's the same, but we've already done it.
I think it's different.
It is
like
it is different.
The way to land the flashing elbow is different in 13. So that's why I didn't really like 12.
Yeah.
Like,
but you're not
okay.
thinking the same thing though, are you?
No, not really. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's to do with nostalgia as well. Because I was young and I was just learning the game at the time, and like I think when you're young and you just learn this new thing, you just feel so excited. I remember I still remember the first day I landed my first air combo in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It was with Guile and I did a flash kick. Anyways, for me it's about a nostalgia because I know it's like you launch 1, 2, 3, 4 into like flash kick in the air.
Oh,
and anyways, but yeah, for me it's just about just nostalgia, just going back to the good times. Because unfortunately my life is not I'm not that happy in my current life right now. And I remember when it was just simple, I didn't have to work, I only had school when I didn't do homework.
Yeah.
You might remember those times back in 1950s.
Yeah, that's how nostalgia works, when it was all black and white, and you didn't have to worry about color and these new.
Life wasn't that as hard.
Mm.
And like you could survive on 56k.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have these big, massive pictures slowing down your. Slowing down your connection.
Some anime episodes are only 100 megabytes, not this fucking 400 shit. What the fuck?
And you got a nice little small screen, you can watch everything, it's fine.
Yeah, like 320 by 240 resolution.
Exactly.
Some of your porno clips came in like 15 seconds segments.
Hey, I had porno, I had like animated GIFs that would loop. That was good enough for me.
Yeah, see, it's like
round and round and round. Anyway, so yeah, nostalgia I think is the thing that SNKP are trying to kind of recreate, and at the same time they're trying to maybe appeal to the new kids with something.
That would make sense. I mean, the new graphics with 13 like in HD and everything. I know people always joked about how KOF is like this simple ass fucking game running on a 16-bit console. But I don't know why I still prefer that. I think nostalgia, I just prefer that kind of graphics over what they have right now.
Really?
Yeah. Like you compared 98 to what I can see in 13, I would prefer 98 because they don't look. I think they look a bit stupid in 13, personally.
Okay.
Some of the character designs. K looks okay. Cooler looks okay because they look similar to their normal sprites. But Ralph and Clark, they're a bit too much on steroids kind of thing.
Well, they do pick people up and throw them into the air,
Yeah, I mean, you do need, a really good upper body strength to do that. But they look a bit too ridiculous. Like, that's just me, though.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's just your opinion. Well, it's their design, isn't it? I mean, really, actually, if you think about it, you don't have to have any kind of body strength when you're an animated character. It doesn't really matter at all. You can do all kinds of things.
You can throw fireballs and like have this big ass phoenix come out of nowhere.
Exactly.
See, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's whatever you like. So it's interesting because when you listen to the other podcasts, you'll hear about how people see the graphics and how people feel about the games, and obviously everyone's different. And I guess obviously this is SNK's problem because they're trying obviously they want to make some money and make a game that pleases the most amount of people.
Oh, you can't please everyone.
No, of course you can't. That's the problem. They can't.
I think it's a bit more important right now to just establish a player base. They need to concentrate on one or the other. They want to appeal to like the hardcore players, which may or may not have really like already left, because this is not what they had imagined like a new KOF was going to be. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to use SF4 as an example. Like some of the older players, when SF4 first came out, they didn't like it, but they stuck to it, and now they're enjoying it a bit more. And I feel maybe some of the older KOF players didn't enjoy after playing, a bit longer, so they just stopped. And they just went back to what they knew, which was, say 98, 2002, etc. And the newer players, I don't even know any new KOF players. That's all I can say.
It is tough. Actually, it kind of, I wanted to talk about the SNKP thingamajig, but quickly, when you talk about people who stick with it, it makes you wonder, because if you remember Street Fighter 3, when that came out, I remember everyone saying, no, I'm not playing this is crap. I don't know about how it was for you guys in Australia, but in the UK, everyone was like, nah, this is rubbish, I'm not playing this. And I'm trying to figure out who stuck with that game, who made it actually, something interesting. How did it actually become popular?
Well, Third Strike was what made it popular. Not New Generation, not Second Impact. It was Third Strike, and that that's its third revision. It's Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So you would think maybe you can apply the same formula to KOF 13.
Yeah, it could be. But the thing that worries me. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. But I feel at the moment that no one. Well, personally, this is just everything I say is based on living in Sydney and knowing the players here. I don't think anyone will really care anymore here, because I feel that they kind of let SNK's kind of let their fans down, and over the years we just became jaded, and we just I suppose it's that straw that broke the camel's back. Because 11 wasn't really what I had imagined it to be. Actually, 2003 wasn't what I had imagined it to be. Essentially, 11 was 2003 version 2, where they refined everything. And then 12 came along, and that was a bit of a letdown. Okay, yeah, it's pretty funny because 2003 was a letdown, and then its successor was a lot better. But then again, you're starting off on a fucking low point, anyways. And 12 was a letdown, but 13 was a lot better. So now you want to create the next game. If they choose to, create another fucking KOF game, it has to be better than 13. That being said, the professor mentioned this yesterday in the podcast that will never air, that most likely the next game will be based on 12 or 13's engine. So we're better off to learn it now. There'll be some tweaks here and there, but I feel for me, I might try it, but it depends on how my life is, because it also depends on people's lifestyles. Because people get older and they move on sometimes, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing. I have never really played KOF 13. It's in the city. I don't live in the city. I wish I did, because that means I'll be rich. Unfortunately, I'm not that rich. So I don't have that availability to just go in there and play when I did when I was younger. And I used to go to the arcades every weekend, but now I don't even go. I only go to the city if I really, really have to. So I've somewhat become a home gamer kind of thing. I'll still go to gatherings and everything, but the gatherings won't have KOF. I've tried. Say, hey guys, come to my place. We'll play some KOF. Closest one that lives to me, 2 hours away. So that's how it is, unfortunately.
What was the question?
You had another question?
No, I'm just thinking.
You said.
Yeah,
the question was do I think, why SF3 became popular?
Oh, that's it.
Initially that was your question.
It
was initially met with, heartache, more or less. And it was the same for Super Street Fighter 2. And then they refined it with Turbo.
I think I did actually mention this a while back about, it seems like the third revision. I think, definitely. I'm pretty sure I did mention something like this, maybe even on the website in an article or something. But it's there are kind of, I don't know about 3 revisions, maybe 2, but definitely 3 minimum or at the most. Because if you remember, I don't know again for you guys, but when 96 came out, I thought this was weird. I don't like the short range fireballs. I thought, the graphic style looks a bit weird, and I kind of actually I had to go to uni as well, so I kind of just said, well, I'll just do this. I don't know. I'll just go away, come back. And 97, I thought, looks quite good. But then 98 was the killer.
Yeah.
And
98 just.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I can understand where you're coming from. I mean, 96 when I said, oh man, Kyo's fireball doesn't go full screen. How can I win now? And 97, actually 90. Well, but the problem is like with SNK, they're known for like having so many bugs in the earlier games, and 97 is notorious for it. I don't know much about 96, but 97 is fucking ridiculous. You still have task over kind of like glitches in 98, but they refined it and they just made it so clean in a way. And it does have its broken parts, but every character can stand on its own. That's why people say 98 is like the equivalent to ST, because you can definitely still win with every character.
Yeah.
Unless you're using like who's the worst, who's the lowest of the low, Lucky. Yeah, I mean you can lame him out with Lucky anyways. Or Brian. Let's see Brian.
Yeah, you see now I can turn around and say actually Brian and Lucky are actually pretty good, and I've seen some people. I'm not saying they're that bad, but compared to say Iori. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Goro.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So no, I can see where you're coming from with these revisions, and like people will have to get used to the change, but I think it's more that people have choices now. They have more games that they can play, and you just like and also with the arcades, you go to the arcades like, I would like to spend $1, but I don't know what to spend it on, and the only thing I know is this game called King of Fighters. Maybe we'll give it a shot, and then eventually you just start playing more, and it just grows on you. But nowadays we have so many games because the market is just so big, and we have a lot more competition. Because back then, when around 96 was out, we have Capcom making fighting games, and we had SNK making fighting games, and there isn't that much else, if you know what I mean. And now you have I still don't know how you pronounce it properly. BlazBlue, and also as well like the Dojin games, like Melty Blood and all that. Like we have no scene for those games as well here. We are strictly mainstream here. So, but that's how it is in Sydney. We only have a population of 22 million.
Only. Okay. Well, yeah. Well. Who knows, eh? Who knows? It is quite tough when you don't really have. I think it's worse when you don't have the people around to actually play with. And I remember the scenes being, you come into the arcade and there'd be a big crowd around KOF, and you want to get involved. It's fine. But if you go into an arcade and there's no one there, you think, well, screw it, I'll go home and play with myself. I mean, play something with on my own.
If you were a producer. Now, what would you do, PM?
I would put more effort on publicity. The series already has its dedicated group of core players, so it's more important to expand its consumers into the casual layer, pretty much how Street Fighter 4 and BlazBlue have successfully done. It's also, of course, important to keep the motivation of the core players as well. KOF is probably about the only game without the publisher holding official tournaments. Hell, even Melty Blood has official tournaments. It's called the Hydra GP, ranking battles. Now, returning on the topic of publicity. In the case of Street Fighter 4, Capcom was fortunate enough to have a big icon like Daigo Umehara, who's probably becomes the most well-known video game idol of the current decade. He's nowhere as well known as Hudson Soft's Master Takahashi from the 1980s, but he's popular enough that his presence is acting on its own as a promotion for the games he plays. It brings in new players and also brings more enthusiasm amongst mid-range players. So in part, Capcom's community and competition scene has grown because of that. Well, KOF has its top players as well, but their charismatic figures just aren't standing out like Daigo and a few others like Tokido. But with the current trend of fighting games, it shouldn't really be too hard for SNK Playmore to promote things in a likewise direction if they really wanted to. Now, Blade Blue is an interesting case because they've took their marketing into a completely different direction from Capcom. Whereas Capcom expanded on its competitive community, Blade Blue expanded on its casual community. If you remember SNK from back in the mid to late 90s, they used to release voice dramas and whatnot. Arc System Works is taking a similar move, albeit one step further by using more modern methods. As a core part of their promotion, they've been running a series of internet shows with the game's voice actors on Nico Nico Doga. The promotion has been a pretty big success, and it's caught the attention of the casual and non-casual, non-fighting game crowd. So, if you noticed, Blade Blue for the home console is well designed for the casual consumers that aren't too much into competitive fighting. CS has a very thorough tutorial mode and quite an in-depth story mode. Of course, that's not to say that the game lacks in competition. It has great netcode, and developers obviously cared. When you go to the arcades, you can see that the general players amongst Street Fighter 4 AE are males in their late 20s to mid 30s, and they usually gather after work hours. Whereas with Blade Blue CS2, the players are much younger, students, schoolgirls, young workers, etc., etc. They're on the machines at an earlier hours than compared to a 4AE. So really, what SNK Playmore needs to do is to find its own layer of new players.
What's more important, releasing the game now or delay and development?
Release the game now, as in right after the spring break. For the home console sector, that doesn't make too much sense. It's off-season, and SNK Playmore hasn't even launched marketing promotions yet. It'd be more preferable to target either the summer or the winter.
Release it now. Like, it's been 8 months. I think the only people that really play it are like people in Japan, because they just play whatever there is. And I was listening to Kane's like podcast earlier today, and it was probably Arcade Infinity. And now that they're gone, rest in peace. Good to know you. I don't really know, like, you know, what else SNK is going to do to like get new players, because you release the game and you market it well, you might actually have people keen for a new game. But if you already lost the fan base and you decide to make a new game, no one's gonna give a shit. You might have a bit of interest, but I don't think you'll actually stick, because you want people to actually, you know, develop their skill or hone their skills with 13. And the only time we can really do it is in an arcade right now. But since most arcades are dying anyways, people can't do that. So you're better off releasing the console. You release a console. You have a console release, and hopefully people will enjoy it with, you know, good netcode, which is so important nowadays. Back in the day, no one gave a fucking shit. But now it's, you know, you have to have a good netcode so people can actually play it properly. And a decent online system. I have to say, you know, SF4, really good lobby system. So you need to, you know, SNK, they have to step the game up, release the game, cross their fingers, see how the sales go, see how the fans react to it, have a poll, just work with the fans, which is, you know, what Capcom does. They hired, you know, Seth Killian, who used to play games, who still mostly play games now, and, you know, you work with the community and you find out what they want. And so you release 13. You find out what people like about 13, what they don't like about 13, and then you put it towards the new game, which, you know, will be 14. That's what I feel, of course. That's just me. And, you know, you take a poll, you know, who's your favorite character, who do you want in the new game, and, you know, hopefully there's enough interest. If there's only 10 people voting, fuck it. Just fucking pack up and say, yeah, we're right off as a loss. It's been fun. Nice knowing you guys for the past 2 decades. So yeah, that's just how I personally feel.
No, it does make sense, and again, like other people will have different opinions, but you know, everyone is valid. It's interesting that you're talking about the poll. I remember SNK actually, yeah, they did have a poll back in, I think, 96 about who should be in 97. And that's actually how we got Blue Mary, Ryuji, and Billy, which is fantastic. See, it's really nice, but it's just a shame that they don't actually do that outside of Japan.
Yeah.
Or even now.
They dropped the soap. Yeah, they dropped the soap. They don't, like, their English site, they don't even really have an English, department. It's not like there's SNKP America sort of thing, do they?
Well, officially they do, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think it's working close enough with its fans. That's just personally how I feel. I can give you a short story about KOF 12 here when it came out on console.
Okay.
The distributors contacted us because we had a nationals approaching, and they contacted us saying, "Oh, can we like show off the console release for 12 at the nationals?" Yeah, we'll come. And so that was a really good effort on their part. Like, unfortunately, the game was shit. So they came out with 2 TVs, 2 setups, and it was free tournament. And whoever won actually got the game when it came out, like the special limited edition version of the game, which came with an action figure of Kyo.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was good. Like, that was good effort on like the local distributors. Like, they made an effort. They tried.
That's good.
Unfortunately, the game was so shit. I just don't think the sales really helped them. And I think that just the lack of success with 12, they probably, as a result, don't want to release 13 on console. But at the same time, they'll only have fans in Japan. Like, it's like Virtua Fighter 5. I also talked about this yesterday. But, Sega only releases Virtua Fighter 5 in Japan now. They don't even have a console version. And the people outside of Japan wants to play it. And the only way they can do that is by playing the console version. So, Sega... But yeah, I see Sega doesn't really care anymore. They have this closed door policy. We'll keep in Japan low. You got the rest of you gaijins can fucking suffer. Or you can come here and you can boost the economy. So I mean, maybe SNK is kind of going through that same thing right now, but they're not I don't feel they're making any money by doing that. And if they want to grow, they will. I think they should. Do a console release for the players outside of Japan, because I mean we can only access one setup in Sydney, and due to at the same time I think it's just due to like marketing, because no one really knows about it. Like, we only we only mention it underground on IRC, and that's how I know. And we've also posted about it on forums, but like the forum I go to is mostly predominantly like Street Fighter. And a lot of the players I know that play online are also online warriors. They won't go out either. So it really depends on the people. All I can say is it's not what it used to be.
Yes, it's how can we not end on a low note?
How can we not end on a low? No. Free Shermie porn. Go to google.com.
I was thinking about Shermie porn actually.
Type in Shermie porn. Go to the third result.
Third result.
The third one. 1, 2, 3. Third result. It'll give you gay Shermie porn. You should be doing it with like Chizuru and
Vice Mature.
Bitches, yeah.
Yeah. Orochi.
But
threesome. Anyway. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I wish I could give you like a better, but unfortunately that's just how that's the state of play in Sydney. And it's similar
go on.
Other states in Australia.
But there's always hope. Perhaps when 13 comes out, somehow magically,
I will purchase the game when it comes out.
People will buy it. And the thing is with the arcade scene, though, if 13 comes out and there's crap netcode, if people are that bothered to actually want to kill someone properly, they need to do it offline. And I think even with the best, I think Kane was saying this. I think really with even the best netcode, it's not going to be any substitute for playing somebody physically. And you guys, I mean, do you guys have like you do have meetings where people meet up for gaming sessions and stuff?
Yeah, but it's for Street Fighter.
Yeah, it's for Street Fighter. Yeah, but it really depends on the game.
We can try and entice them with KOF, but there's only so many.
If the game is good, that might happen. If the game is good and people like it, then that may well happen. And then you guys can start setting up some stuff and create a new scene. And, that can happen. But we'll have to wait for the actual game to be released. So here's hoping.
Sooner than later.
Indeed. So thank you very much for coming in for the chat.
Thank you for inviting me.
Grandpa.
Third time.
See you around.
Third time's charm, yeah.
Yeah, maybe the third revision. This doesn't record. We'll have to do it one more time. And I'll be like, oh god.
The same Russell Brand jokes over and over.
Exactly. I'll be like, yeah, this is really funny. Ha ha ha. And laughter. Holes. Yeah.
So thanks again to our guests, Hebretto from the Orochinagi forums, and our special mystery guest, all the way from Japan, in his robotic form, was actually... Hope you enjoyed listening, and we have plenty more in store if you actually liked listening to this and had nothing else better to do. If you did, make sure you leave a rating on either the YouTube version or on the main site, and if it's high enough, I might actually bother to do some more. Alright, this is Gunsmith from Orochinagi checking out. Hope to see you next time.